Gotta fix my camera real quick. Once I get that all set up, it messed up on me. Whatever. I'll just hold the goddamn thing because my camera messed up on me. But today I'm going to be talking about my top underrated games, and surprisingly enough, most of my games, actually none of my games are current, and they're either PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. None of them are Xbox, because I actually grew up on my PlayStation. I'm an Xbox fan now, but I actually grew up on my PlayStation, and so a lot of my games are. I gotta check this out real quick. I can't see the chat. Hold on. I can't see like damn it, dude. I can't see like comments or and anything on this. Like I'm not really sure how this works. But anyways, so if anyone's commenting, I can't see any comments as of right now on my phone. So, but like I was saying, I started my gaming on PlayStation, actually PlayStation 1, and then I moved on to the PlayStation 2, and then by the time PlayStation 3 came out, I had already moved on to Xbox, and that's pretty much what I'm sitting on now is Xbox. But my first underrated game and these are games that I think don't get enough praise for how amazing they were at the time, and because I know that like there's a lot of PlayStation 1 games like what is it, Chrono Trigger, Metal Gear Solid, just those amazing games. I know that they get the praise that they deserve, but these are the games that I just don't think get the praise that they deserve. And I've had conversations with people about these games, but not a lot in any way, shape, or form. But anyways, the first one is Legend of the Dragoon. It really bugs the shit out of me that I can't see comments. Like, it really bugs the hell out of me that I can't see comments. Like, I don't see any other way. Like, if you guys are commenting, I can't see them. Like, I can't. I cannot see the goddamn comments, man. That is a problem because I want to interact and talk to you guys. Anyways, so Legend of the Dragoon is an RPG game that came out for the PlayStation 1, and it's very much like Final Fantasy in the turn-based combat that it has, but it also has like a dragon armor that you can put on, and it's like your power up or whatever the case may be. And it was my first role playing game. I did not play Final Fantasy. That was not my first. That was not my first RPG game. Legend of the Dragoon was actually my first RPG game, and I feel like it was a really good game, and it came off amazing, and I had fun with it. I remember not being able to put it down, and nowadays when people talk about RPGs, it's usually Final Fantasy that comes up, and for me it was Legend of the Dragoon, and this game is just something I've always enjoyed, and hopefully I can actually get I can see comments. Okay. A 4 disc game. I can see. Okay, so real quick, so I can see comments. They pop up and then they disappear. So like Marty, thank you for watching, Marty. If you're here, if you could comment and let me know you're here, so I can thank you for being here, that'd be awesome. Because I can't see, but his comment popped up and then it disappeared. So I'll have to really try to keep up because they don't stay there. But I think Legend of the Dragoon was a 4 disc RPG game, and each disc had a character because I believe there was 4 characters. So it had the 4 characters you had was on the discs. Great game. I loved it. It was one of my favorite RPGs, probably my favorite RPG of all time, and I don't think it gets the recognition that it deserves. It's definitely kind of an underground favorite at this point in time, but it was fantastic. I loved it. Moving on to my number 5 is Parasite Eve. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that's another PlayStation 1 game. This one's hard to kind of determine in sense of like RPG or survival because it's got the creepy horror aspects. Hey, Milkers, thanks for watching, bud. It's got the creepy horror aspects of a survival horror, but it's also kind of turn-based. It's about this virus that like the parasite could mutate the enemies within it, so you'd fight like mutated rats or alligators or stuff like that. Like it also kind of came off as the reason it was made is because of the success of Resident Evil. But it's a very creepy game. The cutscenes in the game are absolutely amazing and very, very cinematic for the what was available for the PlayStation 1 at the time. And you're this detective who gets thrown into this world of this parasite, and you're trying to chase the I believe it's Patient Zero or whoever she is. She at least controls the parasite. And like the opening sequence is you walk into an opera house and I'll collab video all day, bro. All day. Absolutely. Let me know. You walk into an opera house and you're watching the singer who's apparently can control the parasite, and she's like singing and everybody starts like bursting into flames. Like the very creepy game. But I haven't heard anybody talk about Parasite Eve at all in the slightest. So it doesn't get the recognition it deserves, and it's a really good PlayStation 1 game. If you have a PlayStation and haven't played it, check out Parasite Eve. Moving on, it's actually 2 games, The Suffering and The Suffering Ties That Bind. Both Suffering games are absolutely amazing in terms of sorry, I can't get my camera. Are absolutely amazing in terms of like survival horror. Great games. You play as Torque, and he's a prisoner. And the great thing about this game, the craziest thing about this game, was the monsters in the game they're based off of what their crime was or who they were. So like the firing squad in the game, they were monsters that had like rifles attached to their back and all that. Then like people who did like heroin and needles and drugs with needles and drugs and shit like that. There were these crazy things with like needles for hands, and they were like blindfolded, and the game's creepy as all hell. And another thing that made it unique is there was multiple endings depending on whether you were good, bad, depending on how you handled the situation. There were multiple endings, and as far as I can tell, I could be wrong. If I am, feel free to let me know in the comments. I believe The Suffering might have been one of the first games to do the whole multiple endings based on how you act and what you do and stuff like that. So it's a very unique game, and it stands out in my mind, and nobody talks about it. I've had conversations with people about it, but like it's not brought up often, man. Not aside from, like I said, Chrono Trigger, Metal Gear, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. It just kind of gets lost in that whole array of video games. Moving on though, not sure how to say this, and I'm not sure how to say the protagonist names, but I remember playing this game all the fucking time, and it was Galarians, one of those, however you say it, and the protagonist Rion or Ryan. Cannot remember how you pronounce that kid's name, but he's like a psychic, and you wake up in like a hospital, and he has these psychic powers. Make people explode or set him on fire or whatever it is, and like he tries to figure out where he's from and what he's doing there. It's such a creepy ass game through and through, but it's so good. I had there's shots that you can take, and he like injects them, and it makes his power up stronger. And I remember one of the power ups to make like people's heads explode. There was this power up he could use to inject into his neck, and it would overheat his power, and he could just walk by enemies and their heads would pop. It was so dope. This game is, not to mention there was also a movie, again, Galarians or something like that. There was actually a movie, an anime movie released about it, so you can actually probably find that on YouTube. Great game. Again, I believe that's multiple discs. Check it out if you have a PlayStation 1 and you're looking for something new to play. Number 2 on my list is Siphon Filter. And the reason Siphon, whatever you want to say, the reason that this stands out in my head is because it's the game that taught me about headshots. Like I said, I was a kid when the PlayStation 1 came out, and I wasn't real keen on like headshots, but this game was cool because like if you were running down an alleyway or a tunnel or whatever, and there was a sniper, there would be an alert on your head that would kind of like blink and let you know that they have a headshot on you, and to get out of, they would never miss, so you'd have to get out of the way before they took their shot. And it'd be the same thing. It had a local co-op with the split screen, and if one of your buddies had a headshot on you, it would say and warn, and it would also let them know that they had your headshot. And so this game was the first game that kind of introduced me to the importance of headshots and stuff like that. And it stands out. I played Siphon Filter 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 1. I never got to like Dark Mirror on the PSP, but it's one of the games that I hope is definitely remade and re-released, remastered or whatever for the PlayStation and maybe the Xbox too, since I'm over there now. I'll get to my number 1 in a second, but before I do, I want to go ahead and thank everybody who's watched. And if you managed to find my channel, you haven't subscribed, please take the time to subscribe and like. It helps me out, and it shows me that people are liking what I'm doing. It's much appreciated. To everybody who tuned in to my very first, is also my very first YouTube. I used to do this on Facebook, and I moved over to YouTube, and I just thank everybody who tuned in to it as long as they did. I know it's not very exciting, but I enjoy talking about this shit, and I thank you all for tuning in on it. But my number 1 most underrated game that nobody talks about, but when it's brought up, they actually do remember it, is The Punisher for PlayStation 2. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I don't know if anybody else played that, but that game was absolutely phenomenal in every sense of the word. I loved The Punisher for PlayStation 2. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Probably the most unique thing about it, and one of the things that kept me coming back to that damn game, was the environmental kills. Shoving someone's head into a table saw, or like a I believe there might have been one for like a wood chipper, like interrogating dudes and then shoving their head into some type of weaponry, or like, dude, how is that not something that you love about a game, when you can switch up how you do things? And like, I loved it. Like The Punisher, PlayStation 2. Another fun fact about that real quick before I go ahead and wrap things up is that game, I actually looked it up on Amazon or eBay or one of the two. It's actually a $90 game right now. Like Punisher 2 for PlayStation 2 is like a $90 game right now. So that also might prove me wrong in the whole underrated aspect of it, because it's old enough and sought after enough to be $90 fucking dollars. on the website. So maybe. But those were my 6 underrated games, at least to me, and I stand by them because every game that I just mentioned to you was absolutely amazing. And if you have a PlayStation 1 or 2, I highly recommend checking any of these games out. I'll run down for you again real quick. Legend of the Dragoon for the PlayStation 1, Parasite Eve for the PlayStation 1, Suffering and Suffering Ties the Bind for the PlayStation 2, Galerians, whatever, for the PlayStation 1, Siphon Filter for the PlayStation 1, and The Punisher for the PlayStation 2. All highly underrated games, all highly recommended by me, and that's really all I got for this video. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in for my very first YouTube video. I appreciate you guys sticking it out. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. And hopefully I can get this done every Thursday. I want to go ahead and do them on Thursday. I just did this one just to see what it was like and see how it worked out. But thank you guys again, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Marty wants me to do modern underrated games. I can do that. I will absolutely get a list together and do that for you, man. I appreciate you watching the whole video and sticking it out, bud. I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate your being active on it, man. It shows me that I'm doing something right. But I'll go ahead and hit you guys up next Thursday on Trips Talk, and thank you guys for watching.